Jerry Jones, good morning, sir.
Hey, guys, good to be on with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the first thing I really want to know, we're less than 30 minutes away from kickoff of Stephenville and Kilgore for the Class 4A Division I state title. How much do you enjoy and hopefully perhaps get to watch all the Texas State Championship games that are at your stadium each year?
Well, I do get to watch many of them. It's according to what the schedule is, but it is such a privilege to have those games there at the stadium. I just could share with you so many stories of men that walk up to me, family that walk, moms, dads, whose son played at the stadium. I'll never forget what a thrill it was that Stephen played in the old Texas Stadium when we were living over in Arkansas, and he came down here and played, and it was it was our Rose Bowl. To get to come down here and play at the old Texas Stadium. So I know what it means. I know what it means to the families that are involved, and it's just it really is neat to be a part of that.
And the atmosphere from the fans. Like, I know fans get excited at NFL games, but it feels like the fandom and pandemonium at these high school games is just next level.
Listen, stadiums have had a role for me in my life. We went to Houston my senior year in college when we played in the Cotton Bowl. Coach Brawls, our team, went to Houston to work out during the week of the Cotton Bowl to get away from all the camaraderie. And I'll never forget, he took us on a field trip out to the Astrodome. And the Astrodome was brand new, never had a game in it, ever, and of any kind. And is going to do baseball in a couple of months, maybe. We walked in that Astrodome, and I'm telling you, it was surreal. It was like being on the moon. And to think that you could actually some way compete in something of that magnitude and that impressive. And I'll never forget, from that time on, I read everything I could about the Astrodome. Well, just to show you what will happen to you when you're 19 years old, 20 years old, roll the clock forward about 30, 40 years later, and I can put 5 of those Astrodomes inside that stadium we built out there called AT&T.
Right.
So you never know what's going to go in some young guy's mind that's out there playing in a stadium.
Now, in terms of the Cowboys, there's been a lot of buzz, a lot of discussion, maybe some disputing reports. What can you tell us about the status of DaRon Bland?
Well, again, the same thing. As you know, anytime there's an issue of availability being measuring how healthy they are, how capable they are of playing in that week's game, we make that decision near the end of the week, or we make it really sometimes as late as game day. That'll be made at that time, but we're looking at it.
Do you get the sense, or can you tell me at all if maybe he needs to get the screw replaced in his foot?
Again, I don't know that I would make that an issue as far as this game is concerned.
Jerry Jones joining us here on 105.3 The Fan. Has DaRon Bland been compromised all season, or is this something that was brought to your attention recently?
Did you know what? I think I answered a question. You asked me about Bland, and
yes,
I had Diggs on my mind. I had Diggs on my mind. And
okay,
but Bland will not play.
Do you anticipate him being done for the season one way or another?
Well, I think it is the case. I don't want to be doctor again, but my understanding is that it will require him to be out for the rest of the time.
And then I know you just said not to play doctor again, but I go back to my previous question. Do you have any idea if it will require surgery or maybe just replace the screw in his foot?
I think it's likely surgery.
Jerry, you did mention Trevon Diggs, however. I do want to compare the situations. How frustrating is the juxtaposition between how DaRon Bland handled his injury in the offseason versus how Trevon Diggs handled his outside of the facility?
Well, that's a good question. I wouldn't want to make comparisons here at all, but, it's just so important to us when a player is rehabbing that he do it under our supervision in our place and with our trainers and our rehab people. So we make that a part of any agreements we make with the player, and that's the way that it is, and it works out better for us.
With all the injuries at corner now, how are you going to balance the excitement about some more important reps or going towards Savone Revel and the fact that he's still a rookie, he hasn't played much this year, so maybe you don't want to put too much expectation on him?
No, I think this will give him a good opportunity. It's got to have some impact on the entire secondary, not to have Bland out there. So I think you could look logically that everybody could get some more reps.
Now, and speaking of Bland, I know he had some injury issues last year. Now the setback with the same foot again after a rather pedestrian season. Any second guessing or any, regret signing him to that extension?
No, he's been everything you could ask relative to his rehab, relative to his competes, and he's done the best that he's had to work with, as it turns out, with his injury. So he's thumbs up.
Now, you were talking about Diggs, and I know you said we'll see. If Diggs doesn't get activated to play on Sunday, he will be out for the year. Would you anticipate him ever playing for the Cowboys again?
Again, sure. I don't think I've seen whether it's been connected what he's working through on this year's availability. But I think that's a stretch to put that thing that far out. I know that on my basis, on looking at his situation, I don't have that kind of attitude about him.
Jerry, Matt Eberflus yesterday said that he's going to move to the coach's box and make the play calls from there going forward. What do you think are the advantages to a play caller working from the coach's box versus the sideline? Because I know Dan Quinn was very adamant in his time that he wanted to be up there to get the bird's eye view. Do you think this is going to help the defensive play calling in any way?
My experience has been with these coaches on whether sideline or not has been strictly a personal preference. I've never been able to discern the difference in any coach's preference as to how good a job is done with the defense. On the other hand, I can imagine that, that coach's box is a pretty solemn place. It's you pretty much can think, pretty concentrate, if you will. That sideline is a hectic place. And so that alone, to me, would give you a certain concentration advantage that you don't have on the sideline. And there's no question that as we watch a game from the stands or watch a game from a little elevation, we certainly seem to be, and I think we can see the overall picture better. But those coaches are trained to, and that's a part of their makeup, to have a feel for what's going on that close to the action. A lot of them like to be in the action. I can see that if you're strategizing in a certain way or looking at concepts or reading, I can see where a broader picture would work good for you. Now, you got a lot of eyes up there in that coach's box, so they're giving some good input to a coach when he's on the sideline.
George Pickens, I think we can all agree, has had an incredible season. But you mentioned it, I believe, on Tuesday with our morning show, not quite as many opportunities in the past two games. What can the offense do better to get the ball into the hands of number 3? And do you have to be careful not to kind of force it because that could trip up your offense?
The best thing that we could do to help George is have that lamb break loose on him about 4 or 5 times if he's being the least covered of the two. And that takes some action off of George.
You know, Schotty has been talking about Javonte Williams. He said, man, I hope he's a Cowboy for a long time. Javonte himself said, I feel like it's special here. What have you thought about Javonte's play thus far this season?
Well, I have the exact same feelings that the two of them expressed. He's had an outstanding season. From the get-go, he's been as solid as you could ever say the word, and he's been, if you will, dynamic. And his all-around play certainly has been beneficial to us, the things that we've done really good. And again, he's been consistent. But I love the way that he brings the wood, so to speak, when he runs. And so, but looking forward, hopefully, to him being a Cowboy for time to come.
Do you, I know, I totally understand what you just said. Is it ever tough to try to stay away from a free agent running back kind of bidding war? Or is that a player-by-player, year-by-year, case-by-case, the way you handle it?
Oh, I think every, and it's easy to say, but it's so true. Every individual, every player, every year has its nuances. And so that goes without saying. On the other hand, it should be that way. The player's not a number; they're a player. They're a person, and they're an individual, unique player. And he's established that, and that's important. But the big thing is that I'm glad that we get to talk about it to our fans, that some of the reasons we make some decisions we make is so that we can have the availability in that thing called the salary cap, which is as real as if you were out of scholarships if you were in college. And that's the reason we've made some of the decisions this year we've made, so that we can have the money available at running back.
Does that ever make your job harder, knowing that these are real people and not just numbers, as opposed to just being cold, ruthless, calculating and being like, nope, got to get rid of this money, got to get rid of this money?
Well, that's a softball. Thank you for asking it. But I'm known I'm known for getting involved and affectionate with players, and I have such respect for them. I begin with knowing how fortunate they are to be in a position to play this game. I tell them, boy, they've come along at the right time. 40, 50 years ago, football players weren't highly as thought of. It may not be that way 20, 30 years from now, but they've hit the red meat. And so I have a lot of appreciation for their opportunity. On the other hand, I have such appreciation for what they do to be an NFL football player, and especially an accomplished one. And so it's a mixed bag, but make no mistake about it, it's an individual bag. And yes, for 35 going on 36 years, I've had similar type feelings about players that I had with teammates when I was in college.
Jerry, around this time last year, I asked you about Tyler Guyton's performance, and you said that you may have gotten a little out in front of your skis with your expectations for him in his rookie year. Fast forward to this year, you drafted another offensive lineman in Tyler Booker. How do you feel about your expectations versus the performance that he's given you this season?
He's exceeded my expectations. He's outstanding in the areas that we hoped he would be in. He's a born leader. He's very, very conscientious as in to impose his will. The game to him is imposing his skills and his will on the opposing lineman. And, man, that's quite an attitude to have for an offensive lineman. So he's had a great year for a rookie.
You know, How do you think we've talked a lot about Schotty, the coach, Schotty, the man. How do you think Schotty's first year thus far has compared as a head coach to guys like Garrett, McCarthy, or anybody else you want to compare him to?
Well, I've, of course, had the opportunity to be around at least three now first-time coaches, first head coaches, Jimmy, then, of course, Dave Campo. Really, in the pros, I've been around, I'm going to have to be quick here, but I think it's 5 or 6. He ranks right there with all of them, as ranks really has had an outstanding year. And it doesn't surprise me because of all of the wealth of experience that he had on coaching staffs in pro football, in the NFL. And it doesn't surprise me because of his youthfulness, his vim and vigor for never having done the head coaching function before. And he's been relentless. He's used his skills, his premium skills, which is his ability to communicate, his ability to relate, both with his staff and his players. And he's outstanding. He's technically as sound as you can draw up. And we like really his philosophy of how to play football. And we've had some adversity this year. He's met them head on. He's had slip-ups that every coach would have and does have, no matter how long you've been coaching. And he meets those head on and comes back and doesn't make those same mistakes again. Or if he makes them, it was a mistake. So bottom line is I'm very pleased with his first year as coach.
You talked a lot about the positives that come along with having a first-year NFL coach. Are there any particularly unique challenges or potential difficulties that also come along with having a first-time NFL head coach?
Oh, I think so, and particularly for him. He needed to draw on everything he had with his experience around the NFL. Frankly, and I've said it till you're probably tired of hearing it, he grew up around it. But let me tell you one thing, he's the busiest guy in town. Not only is he calling the plays, but he's supervising or keenly involved. You can't call him unless you're involved in that. But at the same time, he's had the kind of challenges that you can't draw up relative to the team, relative to individual issues on the team, relative to some of the setbacks that we've had, the adversities that come with being disappointed in how you're playing on the field. He's had it all. And if you drew up a training ground, a smorgasbord for a first year, you'd have it with what he's dealt with. We're certainly disappointed with where we were, and that was asking a lot for us to feel like we should be significantly further along. But I understand why we feel that way. He feels that way. But, boy, he's made progress, and we've got a great future ahead.
Jerry, you've talked before about how you've almost gotten involved with the Chargers years ago. Are games against them a little bit more special, or are they just the next team on the schedule?
They are. I have to pinch myself. It actually was the very first game ever. It was a preseason game that I played after buying the Dallas Cowboys. We played a preseason game with them out there. And but no, I will always hold a special spot because they manifest. They are what you can call it a pipe dream. You can call it acting on your dreams. Any way you want to have it. I just really took off and made a genuine run at. Being involved with the Chargers from an ownership standpoint when I didn't have any money. But frankly, I didn't do it because I couldn't get it done. I did it because other reasons. And when I didn't, later when I'm involved with the Cowboys, I'm glad I didn't.
If Philly were to win on Saturday and officially end the playoff hopes, would you anticipate any sort of personnel changes for the Cowboys heading into the Chargers game?
I wouldn't anticipate. I've got it well in hand as far as where we are with our entire team, and I should do that, and I do that, and so I'm real up to date. We'll see how we play each quarter as we move forward, and I'm not trying to be trite. But certainly I'm aware, as we all are, areas that we'd like to have played better in. Now then, do you basically, how much do you apply the reason we didn't perform to the player, to the coach, to the owner, to the general manager? How much do you apply to that? Well, I give old Steven most of the credit for all the bad moves. And so he's always at the top of the S list.
Well, and I know we're having some fun with that, absolutely, but how much, as you are the man, you are the owner, you are the GM, how much the blame do you take for this season's failures?
Oh, listen, there's no question, and it's no manning up or anything to know. I know exactly who ultimately is responsible in my mind for how we are doing. And I've always had that because I've always had the responsibility. I've known from the get-go that if when I got involved, that if the Cowboys failed, what if they had to be taken over financially? Believe it or not, possibility. I've always known that stops right there. So it's critical to me to have the support of our fans. It's critical to me to basically be everything we can possibly be on the football field. I got involved not to own and have an investment. I got involved to spend my life trying to figure out how to beat a pretty competitive bunch called the rest of the NFL. And so I take it real serious, and more importantly, there is accountability in a very, very big way. And I've got to live with when we're out of money and we want to sign a player and we don't have any money left and under the cap. I have to live with that. And so I'm judicious with it when I'm deciding whether to spend it on another player or not.
You know, you just said it's important to have the support of the fans, and this is your opportunity to talk to the fans. Do you feel like Jerry Jones still has the support of the Dallas Cowboys fans?
Well, that's why I'm on this show, guys.
Okay.
Is because I do want to go directly to the fans. That's how come I appreciate the job you guys do. And I'm not stroking you. I'm just saying it is one of the great things about sport that the sportscasters, the all of the people of, if you will, journalism, really tell the story. And they tell it unbiasedly if everything's going right. And I appreciate that. I've always tried to say that. And I understand when you have the criticisms that you have. But listen, I came into this thing pretty beat up. And I say that because I've had a great laugh getting beat up. And so it was no surprise to me when I, right off the bat, that we had some of the rough sledding we had in the early years with the Cowboys. I get it. I do get it. And I want to work. It's critical. Nobody, it doesn't do any good. There's been probably more general managers turnover. Probably, that may be a little exaggeration, but not much. There's probably been more general managers turnover in the NFL than coaches. And so there you go. You got another level to start with. And when you got a new general manager, he's always thinking about, well, how about let's get a new coach, or let's get a new quarterback, or let's get a new tackle. And so anytime you can create continuity, and of course that's what we're dealing with on our defense right now too. Anytime that you start mitigating continuity, you're going to pay a price. That's not good when you're turning it over.
Well, we appreciate the insight and time as always. Best of luck this weekend and on Christmas Day, and we'll catch up with you next week.
You bet. How about that Christmas Day deal? Now, that's going to be a special. And Christmas Day for the NFL is going to become as notable for football in my mind as, and maybe has, but still, we want to be a part of it as the Thanksgiving Day game is. So we're excited to be playing on Christmas Day, too. But let's get this thing done Sunday.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, good sir.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
There you go. Jerry Jones right here on 105 through the Fan.